Okay, so boom, right into the drawing. So hopefully you've got your paper. You do not need landscape or portrait orientation. You can draw wherever you want to draw. So on an 11 by 14 paper, we're going to use a 1-inch radius on our compass, which will give us a 2-inch diameter circle. If you are on an 8.5 by 11, you probably want to use a 3/4 inch radius for a 1.5-inch circle, only so that you stay on the page. Otherwise, ratios and measurements don't really matter. Again, this is the shortcut through Metatron's cube, right? The first time we went through the seed of life so that you can see the relationship with all of the geometries. But now we're just going to get right in and get the job done so that we can get right into the dodecahedron. So you can approximate the center of your page. I am an eyeballer entirely. I do not ever measure to find the center of the page, but you're welcome to do so. It just takes longer, and you're going to be able to make it. That's the cool part of the geometry. Even if you fall off the page, you can usually get the geometry done. So here we go. Got your circle, center of the page, right? Now what we're going to do is you're going to find the approximate lower vertical center, right? So just as close as you can, put your compass point there and make a half an arc, right? So when you make this second arc, you don't actually need to draw the full arc. You can just make little hash marks right where the circles intersect, right? I just show you the circle element here, but we're just going for the intersection points. If you want to draw the whole arc, just draw it nice and lightly because we're going to erase it. Now, you want to make a 9-inch line. So you want to align the 4.5 mark, the middle of the 9 inches, with the center of the original circle, okay? And then you're going to use the 2 points, center and the lower compass point, to get your vertical line on the paper, right? So 9-inch line, 4.5 mark, lines up with the center of the circle. So third step, what you want to do now is use the line where it intersects at the top with the circle and put your compass point there and then make another half arc. Right? So again, drawing the upper arc nice and lightly to erase. All you're going for are these intersection points. Then you want to go ahead and erase the half arc. Okay, so all we have left is our center circle and our vertical line. And now you're going to use the points on the diagonal axes, right? To make a straight line, you're going to use the same 9-inch measurement, aligning the 4.5 mark with the center of the circle. And then you want to do that on the other axes, bisecting the circle with the third 9-inch line, meeting up the center, lining up the center with the middle of the line. Looking good, I can tell. So, and it goes to reason that the more you slow down at these points and go for precision, the more precise the shape will become as it builds. That being said, precision on the first shapes is likely unusual. So now we're going to create an independent row of circles, right? So top secret trick, pencil point goes to the intersection of the circle and the line, and then your compass point falls just above it on the line, right? So we're making an independent circle, just like that. Now, this is where the fudge factor begins, right? So we're talking about the shapes being fairly imprecise in the beginning when you're getting started. We're going to do 6 circles total, right? Now, to get these circles to touch each other naturally, easily, without a big gap or an overlay, really takes some practice. So don't worry if you're seeing that, or feel free to fudge a little bit. Sometimes you can put the compass point just a little bit to the right or left of the line if that means it's going to line up with the next circle better. So if you see yourself on a line and the circle's going to overlap, go ahead and adjust It's okay. It's one of the reasons that practice is a great thing and drawing a lot is a great thing because honestly, it does get easier. It'll become more familiar and you can move past the cerebral engagement of getting the shape right and you can move more into the beingness and the practice and the meditation of the shapes, right? So there, now you've got your 6. Now we're going to do the same step. This is starting to look like Metatrons, right? We're going to do the same step, only one more round. So pencil point goes at where the circle and the line intersects. I always start at the top. Compass point follows on the line above. Now, your 9-inch line might stop just a little bit short of this. The 9 inches is an approximation, or it might overshoot the center mark. So either way, just put your compass down in alignment with the pencil point and make another independent circle, right? Giving us that outer round of circles. And then we get the full 13 circles. We start to see the foundation of Metatron's cube. And I highly recommend darkening in the center points of all the circles. If you remember, all of the shapes simply come from connecting the dots, right? So here's one of your early Metatron metaphors, right? Where life is about connecting the dots and putting the patterns together. So I want to invite you to take a nice deep breath as you're drawing. So we're doing and we're being. And now maybe you've got the 13 circles. You can always pause me. So now we're going to go into the hexagons again, right? Maybe you just did the Metatron's cube class a minute ago, so it's fresh in your mind. But if not, hopefully this will jog your memory, connecting all of the outer circles, right? And in the Metatron's class, I recommended using different colors for the hexagons or the tetrahedrons. This time we're totally focusing on the dodecahedron, so just pencil straight in, just getting the lines that we need for the dodecahedron. So doing the outside hexagon, connecting all the points, and then the inside hexagon, connecting all 6 points. And then also the 3 bisecting lines that pops the dimensionality and you start to get the cube. Now we go for the tetrahedrons, right? This one is connecting every other circle, right? So if you're going around in a clockwise fashion, you're connecting every other one. We'll do both star tetrahedrons, right? Just to jog your memory that you're actually drawing a Merkaba. You're drawing the light body. So we're drawing the outer star tetrahedron as well as the inner star tetrahedron, right? As above, so below. And now we're going to move into the icosahedron. So remember, in this shape, we're going to be going from the outside across the inner ring over to the opposite center point, right? And we do that twice on each side for a total of 12 lines coming from each point in that same pattern. And you're using the base of the inner tetrahedron for the guides. These endpoints are a nice way to orient yourself. And of course, the pattern is the same on all 6 sides. And as a reminder, a good way to check and make sure you've got all the lines is to count 7 lines from each external point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That way you can check, make sure you've got tetrahedrons, icosahedrons, and you've got it all in the mix. Looking at this, it's kind of hard to imagine what else we're going to jam in there. There's a reason that I don't do the dodecahedron all lumped together with the icosahedron, because it actually helps your brain to get a little bit of space from it. If you're just learning the hexagon, the tetrahedrons, and the icosahedron, right now you have aligned the hemispheres of your brain, right? You are creating symmetry and harmony, and you're a little bit more altered than you realize. So to stretch into that new brain state, it's then quite a bit to add the dodecahedron. You'll see in a minute, they're very fine lines. It's easy to get a little bit turned around. So it's great to have a nice fresh brain going into this shape. Jesus. If you remember, the dodecahedron is the only shape where you're going to add lines. This is part of why it was top secret, is because you had to know where the lines were. And So here we go, we're going to add some lines. And I do recommend using a color pencil for this so that you'll be able to see more clearly the shape. It won't stand out if you just use the pencil as well. Now, it's tricky to describe where to add the lines. So I'm just going to say, look here and do it that way. because I could sit there and say, well, draw a line inside the larger tetrahedron from one icosahedron line to another icosahedron line, which is what you're doing technically, but that's annoying. So you want to make 6 equal repeating lines all the way around the shape. Now, I have highlighted the points. You don't need to highlight them. I've highlighted these intersection points just to give you an orientation as to where we're going to bring the lines together. So it's these 3 points you could imagine at the upward facing inner tetrahedron. And we're going to just be connecting those lines, those 3 central lines, same color. I like to use the ruler, even though we're darkening pre-existing lines. It makes it look sharper in the end, just to recommend that. Now we're going to bring the angles into the center, right? So from the tip of each of those initial 6 lines, we're going to go from the outer to the inner point where we just terminated the central line. We just ended that center line. And you're going to do that 3 times, creating some dimensionality. All right, so hopefully we've got those lines. You know, I'm just realizing I was thinking about whether or not the TIE fighters in Star Wars used dodecahedron in their wings, but those were hexagons. I should get a clip of that for everything. So yeah, George Lucas was onto all of it. So then it's just a matter of framing it, right? And there you go. It's popping out right there, hidden in plain sight. So dodecahedron success. You can leave it as such. You can erase lines. Did I do it this way? Yes. You can do anything you want with it. So there you have it. There's your dodecahedron, keys to the universe. Enjoy. I hope to see you again, and may the force be with you.